I've been a professional comic book artist for the past 30 years, okay? Let's keep exhausting the bank accounts of a small demographic of loyal pay pigs over and over again. Okay.
Tired of explaining your unwavering support for guns amid constant mass shootings? Having a hard time selling people on slashing Social Security and Medicare? How's a good Republican supposed to explain all this stuff? Guess what? You don't have to, because you've got anti-woke everything. Skip that uncomfortable policy junk and stick to the culture wars. Look, a gay M&M. See how easy it is? All you need are a few unrelated issues and plenty of outrage, and you're on your way to anti-woke everything. Of course, you could try to explain how Republicans helped add $5 trillion to the debt when they gave rich people a huge tax cut. Or you could tell people Joe Biden is coming to take away their gas stoves. Congratulations, you're now an anti-woke cooking crusader. Anti-woke everything works great for toilets, light bulbs, bathrooms, fashion, fictional characters, books, and of course, plain old speech. Why talk about your unpopular policies when you can be outraged about candy, cooking, and cartoon characters? Anti-woke everything. Let the culture wars work for you.
A recent addition to the Marvel Comics canon was with Miles Morales. One of Peter Parker's most harrowing events is Maximum Carnage, where he literally had to throw down with Carnage. Carnage was such a big deal, he needed the help of almost every other character in the Marvel Comics universe to do it. So when Miles went up against Carnage for the first time, you know what we're going to have to do? We're either going to A, have to make him have more help, which is just going to make him look weak, or we're going to have to make him go against Carnage with less help, which will actually, that's the only way that's going to, be able to sell the story, but also not like, here's the thing, new phrase, isoming. Isoming. We're not going to ice him, the damn character, by making him look like trash in his first outing. That's trademark now. Can I trademark that?
You have to talk to Good Shepherd Ministries, I think, is the thing.
Oh!
Here at AF, we work hard to make sure we've got the facts to back up every accusation of chuddery, that we're entertaining every time we spotlight some fascistic film fandom flimflamer, culture vulture, Star Wars swindler, or comics con man. And by we, I mean me. And while I'm certainly not doing it for money, I do need to buy a new PC soon for continued editing and streaming. That's why I want to express my deep gratitude for my support on Patreon, from dopest members like William, Michael, and Smirking Gun. That's not to say that the members at the chillest and basest tiers are any less appreciated. But even if you can't swing it, you can follow me for free on Patreon and still get some exclusive content and opportunities to chat directly with me. YouTube makes us give every ounce of ourselves. Sometimes it feels like we're being milked dry. Support at any level is hits. Look, here's the thing.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
So Jason asked me about X-23. X-23 is not a character. Her name is Wolverine. That's her name. So she is Legacy. She is officially Legacy, and she's rad. And now there's actually two of her. There's a second one now in the comics because comic book shenanigans, compressed time, Children of the Vault, older one. Yeah, so I'm working on a video slowly but surely about Wolverine, and it primarily focuses on Logan, but I'd be a silly bastard to not cover Laura a bit in it. And actually she plays a pretty significant role in the point of the video about Logan, so yeah. Look for that sometime before the end of the year. I got delayed. Anyway.
Stop this kind of thing is to arouse public opinion. It's very upsetting. It has a bad moral effect.
Forced adversity.
Ask yourself, what's more terrifying? Fear or the frightened?
The facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire.
Bad, B-A-D-D, bothered about Dungeons and Dragons.
Up yours, woke moralists.
Socialism has spread the shadow of human regimentation over most of the nations of the earth.
And they're pushing identity politics with this. They 100% are.
How do you think homosexuals reveal themselves?
And the shadow is encroaching upon our own liberty.
I think there ought to be a law against them. Tonight I'm going to show you why.
That one guy, there's that one guy that was in there, that clip, the one that's talking about, they're doing identity politics or whatever. I've heard some stuff about his community. I've heard it's not like safe for children. Just what I heard, just what I heard. Hello and welcome. This is a special Saturday edition of the Fapcast. You may have seen, where it was at one point, and it is still about that. The governor of Texas and everything going on down there right now, because holy shit, it could go badly. But yeah, and then, but more recently, I've updated the stream, at least on my channel, on the Fapcast channel. It's still the same. And I've got it looking different. It says Horthor. And I don't love that word, but for rhyming sake, I'm using it on the thumbnail. It's not a word that I think has any valid actual use. Of course, other than to demean and otherize someone for literally a job that people have done forever. Nonetheless, Al Ewing is... I'm outraged, okay, is what I'm trying to say. I'm fucking outraged at Marvel Comics right now because of what they're doing. Can you believe that this Al Ewing writer, he fucking sold Thor to a corporation? We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about Texas. But look, I'm not equipped to do those things by myself. I am not someone that is qualified to talk about really anything on the internet, like without supervision, which is why I've got Morgan here.
Hey, how's it going? What did Al Ewing do this time?
He fucking that woke bastard. He sold Thor to a corporation. Wait. Thor was already part of a corporation.
Wait, yeah.
Oh, flawed premise.
Oopsie. Wait, so are you trying to tell me that when these people panic about like woke shit and assign it and like say a corporation is woke, they're just like wrong?
Maybe maybe. So what the deal is I'm not actually outraged. I'm actually pretty excited about this. It's pretty clever, it seems like, and it's Al Ewing, and he's really never done me wrong. So I just wanted to talk about that because we're gonna have a bit of a mixed bag episode today. We're gonna talk about some comics. We're gonna chill, and then we're gonna also we got to start addressing this this fascist elephant at the southern border.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time, and I'm sure it probably won't be. I mean, hopefully it will, but it probably won't be the last time because it seems like there's a intentional through line that was planned and accounted for, maybe even desired when this was set upon. But we'll get into that.
We will get into it, but yeah.
So there we go. Let's fuck Marvel. Horthor. And as I said, that's a word that like I'm only using in this context because it rhymes, and because I'm using it ironically.
Never has there been a more punchable face on Thor. We talk about that, like his face. Well, I just want the Hulk to just punch that face over and over and over.
So this actually brings me to another point that I thought about just doing a stream titled this at some point, but like, you guys ready for a fucking hot take?
Sure.
I'm prepared to be canceled for this.
Uh-oh.
Everybody knows, but if you generally know about comics and stuff, you know about Greg Land. Comic tropes. Several other people have videos about Greg Land. You've probably seen his work and been like, what the fuck is going on with Greg Land's art? Where it's like generally overall competent, but then the faces in particular are often clearly traced from a magazine, and in some cases you can even source the magazine's exact pose and model or whatever that he clearly traced from, right?
Right.
But here's the hot take: he seems to have heard all of that, and he's gotten better.
Wait, what? You can't get better. That's illegal. They banned getting better because real fans who value the customers don't want things to change. So artists can never get better.
So
that's what I've been told by real fans who value real fans.
I was reading the Predator versus Wolverine, which I'm not quite sure why they put Predator's name first. That kind of baffles me, but whatever. Predator versus Wolverine series recently, and by Ben Percy, who's good, excellent, actually, Wolverine writer. And then I was like, wait a second, this is Greg Land doing this part of the book, and I'm like, but I don't hate it. The faces are like unique faces. They're not just like easily recognizable. It's like, oh, I see what he's trying to do there. Yes, you get it. Yeah, thank you. That's the series that I was like, oh my god. I'm realizing that Greg Land probably heard. I mean, look, when it became kind of just almost, he was getting to be Liefeldian in status in some ways.
Not Liefeld.
I mean, and he's definitely not to the same stature of Liefeld, but Liefeldian in the sense that if you know who Greg Land is, you're going to associate him with some wonky face art and tracing, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah. Oh god, he does look like Musk a little bit, huh? Oh my god, that's why he's so punchable.
That'll do it.
Anyways, yes, Artie, we are going to talk about the details, and then I wanted to also, McLeod, very sorry to hear that, man. That's rough, as you said. I'm just taking the word you said. Sorry to hear that. And condolences, and just take care of yourself. Be there for people if you can, and if you have people that you need that you can rely on, and you need them to be there for you, communicate that, and just generally take it easy. And our thoughts are with you.
Indeed.
All right, so what do we want to do first? Do we want to do the fun stuff or the not fun stuff first?
Let's do the fun stuff. We'll do the unfun stuff, and then we'll end on some secret fun stuff.
Oh, do we have secret fun stuff?
We have secret fun stuff.
Secret from me, even, apparently.
Apparently so. Oh, we talked about it a little bit last night on the Live AF.
Oh god, I was out of it. What I'll have to. You know what? I'll let it be a surprise. I trust.
Let it be a surprise. All right, we'll surprise you. We'll take care of you. We got you. We got this. Secret fun stuff. Yeah, top.
Yeah,
secret.
Is it butt stuff? Because it's usually
No, it is not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
All right, fair enough. All right. So you might have noticed there was a clip that I played there. I dropped it in the middle of the intro reel there, and for some reason it's not full screen. I guess I didn't pay close attention when I exported this because I was just laughing too hard. But like, it's this one. Her name is Wolverine. That's her name. So she is Legacy. She is officially Legacy, and she's rad. And now there's actually 2 of her. So update, spoiler alert. Now there's not 2 of her anymore.
Now there's no longer 2 of her. Well, I mean, sorta.
Yeah, just one of them is no longer around. Seems like.
Yeah.
And then, sorry.
Go ahead.
I mean, I was stopping myself because I didn't want to just start spilling all the details of it. So
yeah, it's X-Men in the Wild.
Look, I wasn't expecting anything from the High Evolutionary right now during this Fall of X period. That's what I'm.
No, I'm just like, hi, what are you doing here? Oh, right, nothing good.
So fucking, and like, come on, man. She's like, anyway, I gotta keep it together. Keep it together.
Keep it together.
Point being that this was the part that I wanted to highlight just because, man, do I really feel silly after finding this clip. Cover Laura a bit in it. And actually, she plays a pretty significant role in the point of the video about Logan. So, yeah, look for that sometime before the end of the year.
Oops.
And this was I think this Legacy stream was, I don't know, fall, summer,
something like that. Yeah, I remember this one.
So yeah.
Well, deadlines, they slip.
But I don't regret it. I don't feel too bad because you know what? It brought us the year of Bub. If I had actually gotten that video out, we probably wouldn't have a year of Bub.
And we have to have the year of Bub.
And I do have some discussion about Bub today.
Woo.
And in fact, I have 2 things I'd like to discuss as far as just like moments in comics. That seems to be the thing that I'm going to do with this.
Yeah.
And both of them involve actually Laura.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, Logan too, but Laura's there.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost centers around her, both of them. So, I started reading X-23, the 2010 run.
Sure.
Which I was very happily surprised to see that Gambit is throughout the whole thing. He's like her Jubilee or something, or her Shadow Cat. I don't know. It's pretty cool. He just shows up and he's like, hey. He doesn't seem to have any negative intentions or any underhanded intentions. He's just like wanting to be there for her.
Perfect gentleman.
Good guy, Remy.
Do you smell that?
No, what?
It smells like something's getting clobbered.
Oh shit. Yeah. I mean, it does smell like that. Here, I got just the drop for you.
I've been a professional comic book artist for the past 30 years, okay? Let's keep exhausting the bank accounts of a small demographic of loyal pay pigs over and over again. Okay.
That's a good one. Look, once again, I do not condone everything or even, the channel that makes those puppet videos, but they do have some funny puppet moments, and that's a funny ass impression.
Bad people can be funny sometimes too. It's
true.
It's okay to appreciate them when they're funny and call them shite when they're shite.
And sometimes it's like, even though you don't condone it, and even though you don't, it's like, I wish people wouldn't maybe use that kind of language or something. Sometimes it's kind of cathartic for somebody to just be a little raw,
I get that.
You want a raw tough guy? Then take it raw.
That's how Jean Grey likes it.
It's true.
That's live from their. You know what? We'll just
I think I disappointed the thing. I'm sorry.
You're gonna get clobbered now.
I need to re-upload it into my bank here because it's so far up that I have to scroll a good bit and I can't hit it in a good amount of time. So here you go. Look, here's the thing.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
Okay. Oh, I got an alternate for you. Guest appearance.
Here's the thing.
So when Pillar of Garbage uses that, does he like pay you royalties, or does he pay the Thing royalties? Do you both pay the Thing royalties?
He had no idea. I don't think he's watched my content before or anything, so I don't think he meant. No, I mean, glad I don't have to pay royalties, but I probably would if I had to.
Like if you had, yeah.
Hey, look, you can't keep doing that. You know, you got to pay us some money. I don't know.
And like if Ben Grimm showed up looking for, you know, a little something for, you know, using his handsome likeness.
Sure. Well, I mean,
you got to respect that, right? Like
that's for his sweet Aunt Petunia. You know,
right?
Got to take care of her.
Absolutely.
Rent on Yancey Street is high.
Oh, it's high right now. Yeah, it's real bad.
And other Ben Grimm memes. Oh dear. So yeah. 1 second. I'm trying to find a thing. Okay, there's that. There's where the hell is that at? I don't know. Man, I've just lost this thing I'm looking for here.
Oh no, thing gone.
It's all good. I'll find it eventually. But you know what? Fuck it. We're moving on. We're moving on. We don't have time for it, folks. We don't have time. Let's reset. Just do a quick look. Okay, so Jason asked.
All right, we all reset. Me getting up in the morning.
X-Men Evolution. All right, yeah. So we're bubbing it.
We're bubbing it. Bubbing every minute of it.
Bub. I'm bubbing it. Yeah. Just came up with that just now.
Well done.
All right. Okay, so got this moment here that I'm trying to decide which one I want to do first. Yeah, I'll do the X-Men the Generations one shot first. The Wolverines. If anybody's unfamiliar with the Generations one shots, it happened, man, right there at the very butt end of I think Secret Empire.
Something like that, yeah.
Where like in the last issue, after all the climactic battle and everything, and everybody's like, "Oh God, thank God that's over." Suddenly, like several characters just vanished, like
they just
right
get
there,
like up and eat in time, yeah.
And it doesn't explain in that book what the hell's going on.
No, I remember reading it, going, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Well, so what happened was that each of the legacy characters essentially were transported by some mysterious force, editorial.
Yeah, the force of editorial, yeah,
of corporate synergy, sent them, the legacy characters, to back in time to different points where they met their progenitor, the character that inspired their thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you had the Hawkeyes meet up and stuff like that. But the interesting wrinkle was that the older characters, in a lot of cases didn't really know, like this is before the legacy character existed.
Right. So before they met their legacy character in the current timeline.
For instance, one of the best ones was the Spider-Man one, because Miles got to go, as far as Miles is concerned, Peter's like this badass, super confident, this guy, like I can never measure up to this fucking guy. You know what I mean? And then he goes and meets him, I think right after Gwen Stacy had died. And he's just like sulking and depressed in his room and like doesn't believe in himself and he's wanting to quit and stuff like that. And Miles, he doesn't know that he's a Spider-Man. I think he's just kind of, I don't know if he takes his costume off or what happens, but he basically just kind of consoles him and shit, even though Peter's like, I have no idea who you are.
Who are you, strange child?
So that was what happened with that one. But the Wolverine one I had not actually read until kind of recently. And then here it is, at least the parts that I think were pretty cool and relevant. Speaking of legacy, which I've been doing a bit of.
Just a smidgy.
So, and this is the kind of thing too, that not to get too in the Chud weeds, but like this is the kind of thing that I could see a Chud making a big deal out of and acting like, oh, she's just better than him or something. Was like, no, she's different than him.
Right. They have different skill sets.
She moves like nothing I've ever seen, hacking undead ninjas to bits and so on. It's like he is a berserker. That is his thing.
Right.
She was fucking trained as a child to be like a silent stealth ballerina murder machine.
She's an assassin. Yeah.
You know, and so they're just killing people together.
Like you do. That is Wolverine family bonding.
He doesn't really ask a whole lot of questions. He's just kind of like observing, right? Like she's surgical, doesn't waste a cut, and you know, it's actually kind of scary.
I wouldn't fuck with her.
Together, we're a nightmare. It's a pretty good shot.
That's a cool shot. Just beating up fucking hand ninjas.
Mm-hmm. You know, and they're undead, so like you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want, yeah.
So he's like, he says, you have a sword in you, you know, which is like, would you mind? And so they have a little bonding moment there, and yeah,
I like that.
So he's like, nah, I'm done just going along with this. What the hell's happening? She's like, I don't fully know. But you knew about Akiko. You knew she'd been taken, you know. So this was like, I think that was his wife, that Dawkins' mother, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's that one.
I mean, you would think so, but like actually the Hand is just as much ingrained with the history of Wolverine. Like he's right in there with the lore too. You know, maybe not just as much as Daredevil and Elektra, but he's a big part of it.
He's definitely had run-ins with them before, especially because they've sort of filled in Wolverine's history. The Hand obsessed with immortality.
Right. Yeah.
Effectively immortal.
And Wolverine being a character that oddly has gone up against a lot of demons over the years, because he's kind of one of the only just people who can do it effectively. So yeah, she's like, you know, when I realized where I was, I came to find you, find out what happened. Don't know what else to say. Don't want to affect anything. You know, and then he's like, oh, so, you know, just kind of, all right, whatever, you know, what's your name? And then they end up in a fight with old Sabretooth.
That's a classic. That's a recurring problem.
You know, this is whenever he wore that costume and actually kept his hair kind of short, I guess. They all fall. Well, these two fall out of an airplane that's midair. You know, and she lands like that, and he's, you know, about to cut her head off. He's like, you think that's funny? He says, no, that is. More good shit right there. And then this moment, I realized this is, I think, inspired the moment in Logan with a similar thing where, like, literally the line is almost the same, because he says, you know, she's like me, very much like me, which is exactly what like Professor X says in Logan. And then, you know, she pops the claw from the foot and
in the fucking throat.
Yeah.
That's a bad day.
Good times. And then they have some talking after. And basically, you know, he's figured it out. She doesn't say exactly, but he kind of, you know, is like, this moment's funny. Are you from from the future, an alternate timeline? She doesn't say anything. Yeah, it's something like that.
When you're the feeling when you're Wolverine.
He says, I don't know what your oh, sorry. He's talking about his another kid, I guess, which I'm not sure who this kid is. Actually, I need to look into this because it's neither here nor there. Yeah. So basically, he says, I'm sorry for however I've screwed up your life. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, nah, don't try it. I can see the truth. It's not just the claws in the costume. You smell like me, and I haven't seen my mother's eyes in a long time. So, you know, just like Logan getting a glimpse early on that like things are going to be not quite what he probably expected.
Right.
And then he's about to leave. He's going to leave and not stay the night with, I guess, the mother and the child or whatever the fuck's going on there. And you look into it. She convinces him to stay and read the kid a story, whatever. He convinces her to stay and have dinner. And she, unfortunately, is not able to. And she leaves, has to vanish again.
Right. She gets sucked back into the time editorial vortex.
You know, she talks about, he talks about, she apologizes for acting a certain way because she was kind of, you know, angry for a minute. And he's like, hey, if you're who I think you are, then dealing with grief through anger runs in the family. That's what we do. We take our emotions and we stab something with it. That's the Wolverine way.
It really is.
So yeah, I just thought that was a sweet moment, but it's nothing compared to the next one. Let me see. So Twin River 100. No, this is not the Gang Wars event. Are you talking about the Thor thing? We'll get there. We'll get there. And I don't think it is Dokken because I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I'll update you guys on the next one. But then after that, I've got moment from like I said, X-23, the 2010 run, where so in this one, they Gambit and Laura had just dealt with Miss Sinister, who
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Who she kind of, she had her weird shit going on. She apparently was like fighting off Mr. Sinister, who was like trying to appear from within her body.
Right.
I couldn't tell if there was some kind of like trans thing being said there, if this was just pure sci-fi mutant, nonsense.
It's pure Mr. Sinister bullshit, if I recall that era correctly. Where like she is someone he like modified to be like a backup him.
Yeah, she wasn't even like a clone. He made a person who already existed into a clone, basically.
Right.
And that's kind of crazy. That's some very sinister shit to do.
Some very sinister shit to do.
In both ways that you can mean that. So in this, they just got done with that little arc, couple issues arc, and they got back to now they're in Paris, and she has this list that she has come across in that whole encounter that had, the names of some people that apparently had something to do with her creation, and she's not sure who they are, but she's like got this list, and she, she's a fucking killer, so her instinct is like, I should just kill these people. And good guy Remy calls Logan to come give some advice, because this is above Remy's pay grade,
right?
So she's dealing with some shit. She's sitting on the roof here, and I don't love this art style. This is also
it's fine.
It's fine, right? But it's competent. I'll say that it's competent.
Yeah,
like there's nothing bad about it. I just don't love the style.
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, it's not my favorite style.
Oh man, that'd be, yeah. So yeah, she's sitting there looking at this list, and got some feelings about it, I'm sure. He shows up, says, "Nice view. What's that?" I found it in Madripoor when I was in Malcolm Colcard's lab. It's a list of names, kill list, my kill list. It's long. Covers only 1 year. There must be other lists just as long. I did not see them though. Why are these names circled? I don't know. Is this why you've been hurting yourself? Which content advisory here. Yeah, this issue did start with her just cutting herself in the bathroom at an actually public bathroom. It raised the scene. So this is the thing that I wanted to get to right here. So he says, "Do you want to die?" She says, "I do not know. I wish I had answers for you, kid. All I can tell you is that you need to have some faith. Faith in life, in people, in yourself. Trust me, all the names on this list, on any list you've got, it's nothing compared to what I've done." She says, "I remember them all. I felt nothing when I killed them. I wish I still felt nothing. I do not know what this feeling is that I feel now, but I want to stop." Well, it's guilt, it's grief, it's fucking heavy ass burden for sure. And then his response here is one of my favorite, kind of just Loganisms. He says, "Better memories, darling. Fill your heart with better memories, better actions, better friends. That's all any of us can do." It's like simple.
Yeah.
But it gets right to the point, and it's absolutely true. I don't love the faith part, just because I get kind of like, anytime somebody's like faith, I'm like, I get what you're saying. I know you don't mean it in the religious kind of sense, but but the other part, that's practical advice. That is like very just easy to follow, well, not easy to follow, but like easy to understand advice. Fill your heart with better memories, better actions, better friends. And I relate to that because I feel like I've been doing that for several years now, and it's definitely paid off. So there you go. And that's, you basically you can't completely remove the dark shit you carry around, or the guilt, or the grief, or whatever it is. It's going to be there to some degree. You can learn how to cope with it better. You can learn how to process it better and live with it, but it's going to be there.
Mhm.
But the most important thing you can do is just to kind of balance it out, and even counter, like overbalance. That's not a fucking term. To outweigh it with
Right.
better experiences. So there you go. Loganism. I'm fucking calling it. That's a term I just coined.
A Loganism. All right. Yeah, I would
I'm
say it's
sure.
really that scene sort of shows like the sort of the depth of Logan's character, in that like he understands he just is this natural asshole removal tool,
Uh-huh.
but he doesn't let it be all that he is.
Right. When you think about his attitude and how he dealt with people when he first was introduced in the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, of course, I know that this is not like literally they planned out his character arc or anything. I'm not dumb. But it is still cool the way that, like, if you imagine it in good faith and in canon, you can think, man, this guy's really fucking grown like
Come
a
a long
lot.
way.
He was a guy who, if you just said, hey Wolverine, can you stab that thing? Hey, don't tell me what to do, and he'd like call you a name or something, and like,
and then stab it anyways.
And then stab it, yeah. But like, he didn't like being told what to do. He didn't like anybody getting too personal with him,
Right. Like, well, and I think that's part of the, when we talk about like hanging your story, like we were yesterday. When you're having a character as popular as Wolverine is, and you want him in everything because he's so popular and he's a cool character, right? Like, I get why he's in a lot of books.
Uh-huh.
You have to temper that like loner murder machine with something, otherwise, like, what's he doing in all these team ups, right?
So, are
like,
you suggesting that actually, that the drive for capitalist profit, capital gain, is actually what made Wolverine a better character?
No,
But
I
that
think
kind of is, because if the idea is, oh, this Wolverine guy is popular, we got to put him in as many books as we can. But wait, what's the point in putting him all these books if he's just going to be an asshole to everybody? He's got to develop some relationships. So you know what I mean? Like,
right. So I think it is not a like direct cause. I
I'm
think
just
it is
messing with you,
like
but yeah.
if you are a writer writing these comics, right? Like you for whatever reason want to tell a good story. Like, every person has their own motives and their own ideas of what that looks like. But like, if it's, oh, we're going to put Wolverine in every book, then there's only so many ways you can do that. And that's just a way that makes a lot of sense to have him develop the way he did. And so I think it's maybe not a cause of capitalism, but just like a side effect.
I know. I'm just totally joking. I mean, I will not benefit or credit fucking capitalism for the work that many excellent writers did.
A dozen plus writers over
to take
40 years.
a more or less kind of two-dimensional character to some degree, and making him something a whole lot more than that. No, they didn't start. Look, you may not like that artwork, but that's clearly human art. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's clearly human art anyway.
Yeah, it looks like I think PR said it earlier, that it looks sort of anime, and I don't disagree. I think it's sort of influenced by this like pseudo realism as well. And it's fine. It's not my jam, but it's competent. Yeah, it looks professionally done.
Well, there actually has been a comic book made with AI. I've thought about. I looked into it and realized the people doing it are not good for a couple things. But like, the premise of the comic on its own is actually a good one, and I wanted to support it because it's actually an AI. It's everything with this comic, crowdfunded comic, is made by AI. But the point is, the story of it is a future where humanity has let go of creating anything itself, and has let machines and algorithms start creating everything, and the world has become soulless. So like, it's kind of this fucking commentary on itself kind of thing, which I thought was kind of neat. But yeah, then I looked and was like, I don't like those people very much. Some of the things they say.
That tracks. A lot of AI bros are a whole thing, and a lot of them have are the sort of people you would expect. Actually, in Rolling Stone, Robert Evans of Behind the Bastards wrote an article about the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this month.
Oh,
it's a really interesting read.
He's writing for Rolling Stone now. That's pretty cool.
He's done guest pieces for them before.
I mean, he's essentially a modern Hunter S. Thompson, so why not?
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting article, and I would recommend checking it out should you get a chance.
So it's not it doesn't matter. That's not what we're going to get into. We got to stay on track here. No, you didn't miss the Horthor.
I think we're at Horthor now.
We're at Horthor now. And then and I know what you meant, PR. I got you. So the thing with Thor is actually kind of awesome. Sounds like awesome anyway. And like I said, Al Ewing, I'm going to trust him on it. He had some good anti-corporate commentary in Immortal Hulk. And I think that's what he's doing here. And it's kind of like, it's not going to sit here and act like he's getting away with something underneath Marvel's nose or Disney's nose, because they know what he's doing. But like,
right.
It is still pretty cool that he's just like, that he even had the balls to pitch it, I suppose. So let me fucking actually open up the article that I apparently closed. Okay, so in Immortal Thor comics, the fictional versions, anybody that's not aware, in Marvel Comics, there is Marvel Comics. Like, there is a publisher called Marvel Comics in the canon of Marvel Comics. Guess what they publish? Comic books about the same characters, except, you know what I mean? It's
right.
So there's a Spider-Man comic, and there's, all this, whoever's licensed it, I suppose, and agreed to it. But so in the comics, Marvel Comics has been purchased by Roxxon, and it's relaunching Thor as the defender of big business. It's official. The rights to Marvel Comics are now owned by the notoriously evil Roxxon Energy Corporation. The rights to the metafictional version of Marvel Comics that actually exists within the Marvel Universe, that is, which, much like the real-world Marvel Comics, tells the tales of superheroes such as Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and, of course, Thor. That news actually broke back in 2023's Immortal Hulk #4, but Marvel, the real-world Marvel, has now announced when and how Roxxon's purchase of the fictional Marvel will first start to make waves with April's Roxxon Presents Thor #1 by writer Al Ewing and artist Greg Land, introducing Roxxon's revamped version of Thor, Chad Hammer.
Get the fuck out.
A pro AI spokesman who also moonlights as the Roxxon Thor, a defender of big business and the sanctity of shareholder value.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's almost too brilliant. It's
so here's what I want out of this.
There we go.
I would love this book to come out on preferably Monday, April the 1st.
Oh.
But alternatively, like, it can come out the 3rd, but you put like the publish date as April 1st on it, just because like it's so fucking cringy. Just like go full fucking Mad Magazine on it. Praise Bill. And just lean in all the way. Because that's some Mad Magazine shit. I fucking love it. He looks so punchable. Yeah, McLeod, I could do a whole, and we probably should at some point do a whole episode on AI, but I will have to write that one carefully. I won't say any more on the issue, but AI enthusiasm is a fucking cesspool. and it's going to cost a lot of people their money and their lives potentially. It's quite bleak. AI told the artist to make him look like Homelander cosplaying as Thor. I don't think Homelander can smile like that genuinely looking though. Like,
it's kind of like it's the AI thing. It's kind of like Elon Musk and his how he's viewed by people who just don't are like kind of low intake information people.
Yeah.
That they just like they view the superficial version of the PR version of a thing, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Musk is awesome, man. And then like it's just, the AI's the same thing. It's like if you don't look into it, if you're not curious and you don't care and you're just like, oh, AI, that's a good thing. I'm glad we got, it's the same kind of fucking thing. And those people are gonna kill us all, people that think that way. Yeah, sorry, we're supposed to wait for the dark shit. My bad.
Right. Oops. But yeah, no, this looks really funny. Like, I don't know who the creature in the middle is supposed to be. I don't recognize the big like goat skull guy.
I think it's supposed to be the bull, the Minotaur guy, the Roxxon CEO, maybe.
Oh, okay.
With like a different form now or something. I'm not sure. I read the first few issues of this Immortal Hulk, and then I apparently stopped the issue where this purchase happened in the comic.
Oh.
I did not get. So the head of Roxxon, yeah, I forget his name. It's fucking something, man, but I don't know.
Like
Dario Agger, thank you. Which is, I remember whenever the Thor: Love and Thunder was announced, and they said that Christian Bale was going to be in it. A lot of people were thinking he was going to be Dario Agger.
Ah, okay. That's a movie I still haven't watched. Still, just like
it's a frustrating movie. There's some really, really cool, good stuff in it, and then there's just like what's going on here? Anyway, yeah, they use the old Valkyrie who's been dead since War of the Realms, right? Yeah, I mean, so apparently, I don't know. Let me read a little bit more into it here. So yeah, Roxxon presents Thor #1 ties into April's Immortal Thor #9. Also written by Ewing with art by Ibram Roberson, which will delve further into why Roxxon is focusing its efforts on Thor, specifically because the company is run by his old enemy, Dario Agger, who has teamed up with Thor's perennial nemesis, the Enchantress.
There it is.
Yeah, it's all leading to what Marvel is billing as the Roxxon Age of Marvel Comics, an apparent event starting in May, as announced with a piece of promo art by Nick Bradshaw, seen here along with the cover of Immortal Hulk #9 by Alex Ross, and the cover of Roxxon Presents Thor #1 by Greg Land. So yeah, there's the one right there is the Nick Bradshaw one, and then I'll pull the other ones up in a second. Oh, so here's the statement from Al Ewing, I guess, or
okay.
Who's this?
Now is this Al Ewing on our Earth or Al Ewing of 616?
Well, okay, so you can tell me. Roxxon's hostile takeover of Marvel Comics is, and then scratched out are the words, the worst thing to happen to the industry in decades. And then replacing that is just what comic books needed. I was horrified, jazzed beyond words when I saw how the so-called Roxxon Entertainment Standards Committee had gutted, improved my work, methodically stripping away every iota of scratched poetry, symbolism, and metaphor, added junk no one cares about. Ewing was forced to say in a tongue-in-cheek statement. The result is a comic that can best be described as scratched out, an act of unforgivable violence against the medium I love, and then added rollicking good time for the whole family. Scratched out is may God forgive Roxxon for I never shall, and then make mine Roxxon.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's
oh.
Good shit.
I haven't read a Thor comic since Siege.
Oh God,
it's been a while since it's been a long time since I've read Thor.
I mean, I would definitely recommend.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, wow. I mean, if you haven't read any of the Jason Aaron run, then
No, I
holy
have
shit!
not. Like, it's just
All
because by
right.
the time I was sort of came to have it on my like radar, it was like, oh, this is thick.
Okay, so everybody who has read this stuff like I have, y'all gotta back me up on this. Morgan, get on some Jason Aaron Thor. Like I have, like Jason Aaron did for Thor what Ed Brubaker did for Captain America to me, as far as
Damn,
like
that
taking
is
taking a character that I've always like, it's like, yeah, he's fine, but kind of a little bit not my thing, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
then you get the right guy on him, and yeah, he takes him places and makes you see him as a real character kind of thing. And he goes from losing his worthiness. You also get in the midst of that, right after that, of course, the Mighty Thor is in. Spoiler alert: Jane Foster.
Right.
And then, yeah, and at the same time, you get the unworthy Thor, where he doesn't even have the hammer; he's got the axe, and he's all
He's got the
depressed,
axe,
and
yeah.
he's drinking a lot, and he's just kind of like bumming around, but still being a. That's
So
how
is
he ended
that
up in Secret Empire
Oh,
on the side
okay,
of
sure.
Captain America, because he was like he had no fucking confidence in himself, and then you see Captain America, right, who he respects,
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, we're gonna do fascism now," and he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess. Like, I guess that's what we're doing." you know.
So I'm trying to place this because, like, I know the axe first shows up in Uncanny Avengers. But
Uh,
this is after that though,
Might be right.
because like
Yes, it
there's like
is after that.
a part of that story that like takes place in the past before he has Mjolnir and he has that axe,
Yes.
and like one of the bad guys is using that axe to get up to some fuckery.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Okay, all right. So he goes back to that axe. All right, we're
I mean,
gaming.
if you want, just like the place that I first read in the Aaron run, was this where he started? Was God Butcher story the first thing he wrote? I forget. Yeah, I think it was. So yeah, you start off with Gore the God Butcher, just right out of the gate. You've got Thor investigating these gods being fucking butchered, and then you are introduced to Gore, and things get wacky from there.
All right. Well, that's I've got I'm traveling for work next week, so I will have some reading time, and I've got Marvel Unlimited, so hopefully it's on there, and I can.
Was it really 7 years? Holy shit! There's a lot there. Like I'm telling you, you're not. There's no shortage if you get into it and you like it. There's plenty.
Well, I will have to at least check the first year of it out, right? Like that's. Ooh, that sounds
it
cool.
he loses his worthiness because like basically, uh, whenever he first meets Gore, being what Gore's about, which I guess you don't know much
Right.
about Gore.
No.
Never mind. I'm not going to tell you anything, so you
All
can
right,
just.
don't spoil shit. Yeah, quit it.
All right. So there's that. Now we know why Thor is a whore. He's joining the Thor horrorcore.
Thor horrorcore.
I'm sorry, I can't pass up a rhyme, even though the word is problematic and I don't like it. And somebody said something about prostitute. That's not a good word either. That's like a cop word.
Yeah.
I know that not everybody realizes that, so it's like not like shaming you, just trying to inform you at this point, and that
Right.
in the future, try not to use that word, because that's just how fucking cops patriarchy bullshit. Like, man, people just got to do jobs, get
They
money.
just gotta work, right? Yeah.
Bootlicker Thor.
Bootlicker.
All right. Oh man, that means we're to the thing now.
Or
Shit.
to the thing, yeah.
All right. I had some stuff that I had thrown into the old server, some resources. I don't know if you looked at those or if you had anything better or different or what.
We can start with that. I have some side things to go off of that, but we can start with that, and then I will bring in my stuff as we go, because I think there's another angle we can look at this at that isn't, I mean, literally isn't being talked about at this point, but
okay,
I think it's quite pertinent still and relevant.
So I did a stream with a couple of years ago now. Whenever I was doing that Beta Boys thing with Robo Strange, and we did a stream dedicated to this man, Governor Greg Abbott, because at that point he was Oh man, he was going after women's reproductive rights. It's a good thing that there was never any progress made on. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So this guy, as I said on last night, he's kind of the tip of the spear. You can look to whatever Abbott's doing, and however that shakes out, you can kind of like start to gauge where the Republican Party is going to go next.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of been a few different times that he's done that. He's shameless. He's I just have to assume cynical to the extreme, and has no problem just doing the most disgusting, dishonest, inhumane bullshit possible.
Nothing that resembles morals.
He is he's a fashy fash. So let's see. Just where to start here. Okay, so a good place to start is the ice storm a couple of years ago in Texas.
Yep.
And for full disclosure, I was born and raised in Texas. I lived there until about it's almost been 10 years now that I've been in not Texas. But so I know about Texas, a few things about it. Back whenever I was in legal trouble when I was a younger man, Greg Abbott's name was on all the paperwork that I had to fucking deal with because he was the what you call it,
Attorney General.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I knew his name before I even gave a shit about politics. I was like, I don't like this fucking guy.
I hate this guy.
All the things that make my life suck are signed by him. Fuck this guy.
Right.
He anybody that saw the title, my shitty low fucking swipe that I took at him, I don't care. I really don't. I said he lost a fight with a tree. Well, he's paralyzed from the waist down because he had a tree fall on him years ago. And I just don't even fucking care. I honestly don't. Fuck him. Like, he's the only fucking person in a wheelchair that I would just gladly beat the shit out of if I had the chance.
Well, you know what? We've had a good American leader in a wheelchair. For some definition of good, we can have, we can say bad things about the bad one. I think that's fine.
I mean, he's not like terrible because he's in a wheelchair.
No, he's an ass monster, irrespective of that.
If anything, I mean, like, that tree should have tried a little bit harder, I think.
a little higher.
You were slacking, tree. Anyways, okay, enough about that. So, God, there's just like the litany of shit that this guy has done, is doing, will do, has said. It's too much. Like, I remember that stream we did. We just listed stuff off for like 2 hours straight.
It's a lot. He is, he's one of the, talking about tip of the spear, like a lot of the anti-trans legislation we're seeing right now across the country, was piloted in Texas.
Yep.
And, that's a state I can't go to the bathroom in anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can. It's just like you're going to be, kind of dehumanized when you do it. And that's not cool.
No.
I guess you can't, right? Like, I'm sorry. I'm realizing now that what the complications would. Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's actually a crime.
Because either way, somebody's going to be like, oh, yeah, goddamn. All right, so okay, here's the thing. Not the thing. Here's a thing. So he likes to focus on fentanyl as a big problem, and fentanyl is a big problem.
It is absolutely.
But this is a good example of how he uses sometimes valid things to deflect from enormous, egregious, fucking just like utter fucking failures of governance. So Texas has an old ass electrical grid, right? And there's something you can see in common with these red states. They want to talk about their states being so awesome and stuff. Is that almost without fail, every single majority, like Republican leading state that like just election after election, they're going Republican. They have old ass infrastructure.
Their infrastructure is literally falling apart. Literally
because they slash regulations all the time. That's like they corporations.
Well, they not only slash regulations, they slash public financing of things, right? So
True.
like, or they, so for your power grid, right? Texas power grid is completely deregulated, and so it's just a disaster.
So this is an article, I'm just as an example, from July of 2022. And it talks about how the governor is showing concern about overdose deaths as he faces scrutiny for mishandling gun violence, COVID-19, and the electrical grid. The electrical grid issue, I don't remember the exact number, but I'm pretty sure a couple of hundred people died because of that electrical grid failure.
That sounds correct.
So, yeah, he held a press conference in Houston to warn Texans about a deadly scourge spreading across the state. Not the merciless heat wave that had their mismanaged electrical grid teetering on the brink. Not surging COVID-19, for which the Centers for Disease Control had again advised those in certain counties to mask up indoors. Not even the epidemic of gun violence, which had only been highlighted by the infuriatingly slow response to the Uvalde school massacre, which he held those police to no fucking scrutiny or any kind of accountability for just like taking, what was it, something like a fucking hour and a half or some shit to do anything.
Right. Hundreds of police officers employed by the state over multiple departments stood around and did nothing for a few hours.
Yeah. So he was all mum on those emergencies. Instead, he alerted people to the deadliness of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid many times more potent than morphine. And he said almost 1,700 Texans died from fentanyl overdoses last year. But of course, he did not mention that over 3,500 Texans die every year from guns, and nearly 6,200 San Antonians died from COVID-19 and counting. And that's just in San Antonio. And who knows how many people would kill over if their air conditioners were to cut out. And I can tell you from lived experience that if you live in Texas, essentially every part of it, I think, but especially where I'm from, Central Texas, Southeast Texas, the Houston area, if you do not have some sort of air conditioning in the summer, you're gonna fucking die. If you
It's
don't,
bad.
it's just gonna happen. And like, this is just, it's a fixable problem. There's clear avenues to fucking saving lives, to preventing death and harm and stuff. And it just doesn't matter to him and to his cronies in the fucking government in Texas.
Right. It doesn't matter to the Republican Party anywhere. Pick a place in the country, they don't fucking care. Or they want that's less people, right? That's less benefits to pay out, right? Less Medicare, less Social Security.
So and this is just the Republican problems compound because of Republican bullshit.
Right.
So right here you've got fentanyl. It's a legit problem. Like, cool, okay, good that he's doing something that to some degree that will maybe save some lives. Focusing on that, sure. But then he goes on to say, it's so important that as parents, you play a role in making sure you educate your children about the way it can be laced on a drug in ways in which they have no possibility of discerning whether fentanyl is on the drug. And that's not really true, because you can easily tell whether a drug has been laced with fentanyl by testing it. But under the Texas Controlled Substances Act, the testing equipment is classified as paraphernalia. That means fentanyl testing strips, which are inexpensive and exceptionally accurate, are actually illegal in Texas.
Yep.
Cool, man.
Fucking cool. So here's another fun thing about that. Fentanyl is not a new opioid. It's actually an old opioid that we went away from because we had more efficient ones. But then because of the Sackler family and their company, we had the opioid crisis that made things like Oxy incredibly accessible. And so now with that more restricted, demand for fentanyl has gone back up, and fentanyl is a less precise medication, if my understanding is correct. And so by allowing one opioid crisis, we've basically created another, which, pretty fucking shitty.
So it gets stupider, guys. I hate to tell you. And just more frustrating, because Okay, so I actually take away the little bit of credit I was giving him for being concerned about deaths, because he, of course, refuses to allow the expansion of Medicaid.
Yep.
Which means that there are a lot of people that are not getting health insurance, that don't have access to healthcare, that could save their lives, that could get them treatment if they are addicted and things like that. But no, fuck them.
Well, like,
fuck
okay.
that.
Oh yeah. So like here, let's compound this, right? Let's say you get hurt, right? You get hurt on the job. Their workman's comp sucks, right? I can't imagine their workman's comp laws are
Not very good. Yeah.
not very good, right?
Well, I mean, actually, so they were when my dad got injured when I was a kid. I'm willing to bet they've just destroyed them since then.
Right. But it's also an at-will employment state, so they can just fucking fire you. So now you were hurt when you had insurance through work. You got opioids, but you're unemployed, you lose your insurance. You can't get on Medicaid, and your condition isn't treated. So now, like, you're just in pain forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a feature, not a bug.
Mark, that is oddly close to my experiences. My sister was not a cheerleader until college, but all through primary school and stuff, she was actually on the dance squad, and we had to go to Dallas to Cowboys games, and like I think 3 different times that I remember, her and her cohorts all danced at halftime at a Cowboys game. And I hated it almost every time that I went, because it's stupid and cold and football sucks. Anyway.
True.
The
choir.
See, then, but the thing is, so why does he focus on fentanyl of all things then? Because it's shorthand.
Yep.
Shorthand for the thing that he really cares about. And yes, we are getting there, because this is a segue. One almost suspects Abbott's focus on fentanyl is a diversionary tactic having little to do with harm reduction and much to do with beating a cheap drum over Joe Biden's alleged open border policies. Historically, illicit drugs serve as dog whistles, so that without saying anything too explicitly racist, politicians can scare well-to-do white Christian voters with a nightmarish image of crazed criminal minorities. The Irish and alcohol, Mexicans and marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said it like that. Blacks and crack cocaine, methamphetamine, and poor rural whites. So yeah, I never really thought about that way, but yeah, there is a specific demographic attached to each of the drugs. Right. And you would think that he would want to do effective border policies, right? If the problem is the border, I mean, first of all, why is he calling it an open border when that's just not what it is?
That's not the case, right? He's lying, right? Like we can call it what it is, right? There is not an open border. The United States does not have open borders.
So
now the right wing has done a very effective job of demonizing refugees and how international law works with regarding refugees. So to seek asylum as a refugee, you have to enter the country that you're going to seek asylum in.
But guess what that makes you a dirty immigrant,
Bingo. And you have to turn yourself over to the authorities and say, I'm here seeking asylum. And the process costs time and money.
Well, I mean, so look, I mean, they're just coming here. They're just trying to take advantage of our system and like, and get drugs in here and stuff, right? Like that's what they're doing, right?
I mean, they're trying to take advantage of our system in that we have lax labor laws that allow them to get jobs easily.
And in many cases, they're trying to take advantage of our system that, for all its faults, it doesn't allow, it doesn't allow gangs to go around and like threaten you to give them your rent money, or they're going to cut off your children's heads.
Right.
Which is, a thing that happens in certain areas. So Channel 5, once again, critical disclosure that this guy is allegedly apparently a piece of shit. I think he's actually admitted to it, as far as just being a creep toward women, but I'll be fucked if he doesn't make good documentary content. So he visited the border recently, and it was upsetting to learn about this, because like I did not know really how bad it is and what was going on exactly. And when I say bad, I don't mean, oh my God, those us poor Americans are we're being flooded with all these brown people or something. No, I'm talking about the people who, can you take a second, imagine what you would need to have going on in your life to give up everything that you have, your home, everything you know, everything you've ever known, and then knowing that this country, there's a lot of hostility going on towards people that are trying to come in right now, and you still have to go, that's still my best bet.
Right.
And you fucking make this trek across desert, across fucking river, imagine
jungle.
They don't just do this because they're, this is like this underlying presumption with this stuff is that, that they're just doing it because they're that desperate to fucking do whatever sinister thing. Like, no, they're that desperate to not fucking die, man.
Right. They're trying to live, right? They
But yeah. And that's why they have to be dehumanized. That's why they have to bring up drugs. That's why they have to bring up terrorism and all this other shit. That's like, because if people start really listening to, like, as Callahan talks to a few people in these videos he's got, you start listening to what they're about and what they want, what they're, how they're looking at this. Oh no, wait, that's a human being. Oh shit. You know what I mean? So we can look at a couple of minutes of it, but sorry, do you want to say something else? Or?
Not yet, no.
Okay. It's can you hear it?
No.
Did I not?
Let me try. I can't hear shit. Still nothing.
All right. Let me redo this here.
Technical difficulties.
I mean, I just didn't set it right the first
That's
time.
Fine.
I'm the technical difficulty.
That's fair. So I can talk about something as far as the how manufactured this is, right?
Yeah.
So Greg Abbott, I just popped it up on good old Wikipedia.com or .org.
In the middle of the.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you can do your same what you're gonna say.
So he was elected governor in 2015, and this current what he's titled Operation Lone Star, because he's a child with toy soldiers.
Because it appeals, but why? That's actually really cynical and smart on his behalf.
Right.
Because being from Texas, they love that Lone Star fucking
They fucking
shit.
love it. They come on it all the time. Interesting timing. He didn't launch this until 2021. Like winter 2021. That like March time period. Did someone just like become president in 2021? Like, because he was in office for 5 years before 2021.
Yeah, that's weird.
But like, you're
okay,
welcome,
Mark,
PR.
Mark, look, credit for the joke, but let's try not to fucking, give him.
Let's not give him too much credit.
It's a good joke though. Yeah,
but
people in Texas are religious over a lot of weird shit. I'll tell you that from firsthand experience.
So, for 5 years, this is, because Republicans have been harping about immigrants, for as long as I can remember. But like, he was the governor for 5 years before he started doing this.
Yeah.
That's weird that it happened in 2021 in March. Like right when, I'm pretty sure that's like someone new became president, some like Brandon fellow.
Oh, I'm trying to. Was that when Hunter Biden's dad?
Oh, right, that Hunter Biden fellow who is definitely in office and definitely a member of our government.
Give me 1 second here. I gotta talk to the missus real quick. So
sure, have fun. So yeah, so as far as like how real is this? Well, when you're in power for 5 years and then you need something new to do, because you're a cynical shitwit who isn't really interested in like governing. You're a mercenary whose job it is to exploit tax resources to give to your donors who then pay you. We had to move on to something else. And so
I'm back.
it's a whole fucking thing. Welcome back. We missed you.
All right, let's just, we're not going to watch much of this. I just wanted to give you guys a taste of it.
A little sample.
In the middle of the Sonoran Desert, hidden behind Border Patrol vehicles and makeshift tents, were hundreds upon hundreds of migrants, all of who hopped the U.S.-Mexico border in the past couple hours. It was a shocking sight to see. People.
The only thing that is true, and this is the there's always a kernel of truth to the propaganda lies and shit from the right. The only thing that is true is there is a lot of people trying to cross the border.
Yeah.
If you are a fearful minded person, if you are someone who is incurious, and you don't care about the conditions outside of your immediate vicinity and how things affect you, then it's really easy to let yourself be filled with all kinds of scary stories and bullshit. But like, really, like, look at these people. Just how scary are they?
They're just
people from all around the world, herded like cattle on the cold desert floor, sitting in silence, awaiting an uncertain future. Despite these conditions, spirits are generally high because most of these people have traveled days, weeks, and even months just to get here. About 3/4 of them are single males, but there are also many children.
America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration.
These people's lives are at the center of the national conversation, but they could care less. They've finally made it to the land of opportunity, a nation allegedly.
So I want to talk about why are single males coming?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming here to work, actually.
Yes.
Because through trade agreements and other things, we have devalued the currency of other places in our hemisphere.
We've ghettoized
so much.
the global South.
Yeah.
And
Mexico isn't the global South. It's the northern hemisphere. We like to think of it as part of the global South because we certainly treat it like it.
Mm-hmm.
But they come here to work, and often they know where they're going. They have a job lined up.
Yep.
But the people who are hiring for those jobs, those are never the ones who end up, sitting on the desert floor.
Yeah. And the thing is that they're often also there are a lot of Republicans that vote. It's like I don't know how they hold both of these things in their minds at the same time. I don't get it, but
because they only believe one of them, right? They use the other to get votes.
Are you are you ready for the appearance of our arch nemesis in this episode?
Sure.
So several years ago, I took a Greyhound bus from Austin, Texas to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Dun dun dun.
And I for a good several hours I sat next to a couple of guys who were from Mexico.
Yeah.
As much as I could, I kind of occupied myself trying my best to understand them because one of them spoke really broken English, but I could more or less get the point across.
Sure.
And so he was kind of speaking for the others, and I was like really trying my best to like remember all of my little bit of Spanish, and then like what we call kitchen Spanish, where like if you've ever worked in a restaurant with Hispanic people, you'll learn like a few words here and there that you need to operate in the kitchen.
Right.
But like and that was it's actually a fond memory I have, despite the Greyhound bus being stinky and uncomfortable. And these guys were super nice and cool, and they were like, it was really. I'm fucking grateful for that experience because it was humanizing, and I think about them every time this situation comes up because they literally and they've done it for I think 12 years straight. One of them had at this same time every year. He comes up illegally, and then gets on the bus and then goes to this farm and I think he was trying to remember what he was doing, but it was some kind of fruit I believe that he was dealing with. and then he, sends the money back home, and he lives rough while he's in the U.S. He's not, despite some of the narratives, they can't just come and take advantage of all of the, the fucking privileges and the
right.
Entitlements of that everybody else can. They don't take them away from, legal citizens or anything like that. That's not a thing that happens.
In fact, in order to cook the books, often they're paying taxes.
Right. Yeah, they pay taxes despite receiving no benefit. Yeah. Taxation without representation. You know what I'm saying?
Literally that.
So, yeah, in that case, taxation is theft. Eric
in this case, yeah.
Look, we found common ground with Eric.
We found it, Eric. Yep.
And yeah, so the point of all this is that right now at the border, if you're not aware, there's a bit of a standoff going on that could peter out and nothing comes of it. That could happen. I kind of have concerns that it might not.
I don't know. I do not like how Biden is handling it.
I mean,
not okay with it. I don't know what I'm going to do about it yet. To go back to last week's, have an end goal, have a plan. I don't know yet, but
there's nothing we can do because, essentially, then, and that's the thing that people don't like to accept sometimes is that it doesn't. We can't change it with action or inaction at all. It has to be, and that's the unfortunate thing is that Biden is. I haven't looked super deep into it, but I know that he hasn't spoken out strongly, really.
No, he hasn't fucking said anything.
That's the least he could fucking do. But maybe he's waiting till a certain juncture. Maybe he's waiting until a certain process runs out just to give the slightest benefit of the doubt. But he should also be aware enough. His people should be aware enough that look, Abbott seems like he's determined this from the start that he's going to go.
This was always. I mean, there is a reason that this big to do is happening right now. Right? And for the same reason that this program, this operation started a month and a half after Biden took office, right? It's cynical.
It is cynical. Absolutely. The same. Look, this is a fucking guy who I think DeSantis was another one who they literally shipped migrants from the border up to where did they send them to? Blue states. You know what I mean? Which is illegal. They trafficked. They human trafficked these people.
Right.
That were asylum seekers. I think in many
cases, asylum seekers, if not undocumented immigrants, which is also human trafficking.
No,
and aiding and abetting.
Did they think that they were actually just doing a good, smart, practical thing? No, they were doing it for fucking headlines. To get to the same reason that chuds do the stuff that they do, where it's to give their pay pigs a sense of win, of owning the libs. It's all in service of that.
And what's funny is, for the money and the effort and the PR and stuff, you could do that the right way. You could spend the money, put the manpower to work, and go, okay, where can we send these people? Who can take them? Who has the resources? Instead, what they do is they fly them to Martha's Vineyard is probably the most famous, but they fly them to New York and DC a lot. They've flown, I think, 40,000 to Denver. I read earlier today in a newspaper. And they could have fixed the Texas power grid, which, and all at taxpayer expense, right? This is if you're a Texan or a Floridian, your tax dollars are being used to traffic humans for a PR stunt.
And let me be the one to make, since we just got done talking about this, and it's going to make me maybe unpopular to say, but I'm going to say it. The desperation with which they are trying to sabotage, not by having good policies, not by offering solutions or countering Biden's failures or anything like that. The desperation with which they're doing PR stunts and fucking cynical, headline grabbing bullshit that doesn't do anything practical or effective. That desperation should tell you why it actually is important that we do, vote for Biden and Democrats in general in November, because despite the fact that he's fucking up on several points.
He is, it's one of those things that like if I got one of those, poll calls, oh, do you approve of the job Biden's doing? Fucking no, I don't. And then if they asked, would you vote for him? At time of this phone call, yes, but
we'll
see how that goes.
You have to keep in mind, would you be happier with the alternative? And
right, because Trump isn't going to do, and is going to do worse, right? And speaking of Trump, you want to talk about Republicans who hire illegal immigrants. That's Donald Trump. If Ron DeSantis wanted to go after, someone who's bringing illegal immigrants into the country, he could start at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. And this is exactly it, Reggie. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
Yeah, no, you're good.
And we, unfortunately, this is the fucking cold, bitter reality. The thing is, though, this is because we have not been engaged for so long. This is because up until 2016, maybe 2012 or something, like so few people really gave a shit about anything, the issues that actually face the country, because, really a lot of them didn't affect anybody. Like a lot of the stuff I remember hearing presidents and other people, other politicians arguing about was like, I don't even know, that doesn't affect me. So like I was disengaged, or at least I didn't think it affected me because I didn't look into anything.
Well,
I didn't, and so like I'm just saying, like we have to earn our idealistic votes, right? It's gonna take a while. When there's fascists at the fucking gates, we just don't have that luxury. We have to fight now so that we can hopefully earn that ability to go, okay, now let's pause and talk about what we really need to do and vote based on that. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, and I think, it's also important to remember when you're talking about like the bad decisions of the American electorate. Like we had Reagan, and Reagan second had as president for 12 years with, George Bush Sr. We had 8 years of George Bush's crusade, W's crusade against the Middle East and all the patriotic fervor over that. And so like there's a structural deficit that progressives are working against, and that establishment Democrat leadership is just not the best at handling. But yeah, also Bob is right. The president is the wrong focus. Focus on your state, local elections, not the guy at the top. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, so the thing is,
1,000%.
The thing is, though, it's not the wrong focus to disagree. I agree with what you're saying, but it's not the wrong focus because so many people are focused on it. And because of that, we have to engage that point. We have to.
It has to be something we talk about. But I think that, when I talk about, voting for president, I'm voting for president as the president that's going to be the most beneficial to state and local officials.
Sure. Absolutely.
Rather than voting for president as the guy who's making state level or,
The sad thing is that if we just go, man, fuck it, Biden. I'm not voting for, I'm not worried about Biden, whatever. Like people who otherwise would vote blue down ticket, progressive candidates down ticket, they're not going to even show up.
Right.
So that's where it's fucked up. So it's kind of like how if you're in a room full of people and you're trying to communicate some ideas to them, and they're all like new to the idea, you kind of have to pinpoint the dumbest one and speak and teach them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Like you kind of have to communicate it with the person who's the least engaged, and because like otherwise, I don't know. It's not a fully formed thought. What you said was actually really fucking great about structural deficit and all that. That was great.
Thank you.
Good shit. Anyway, so let's look at the actual situation on the border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has declared his state's right to self-defense. The language this guy uses is so fucking stupid. Using the supreme law of the land. Okay, that's not a thing though. To give soldiers power over President Joe Biden on immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border. Abbott and the Justice Department have been duking it out in court over a number of deterrent tactics. So let's talk about the tactics that really are at the core of this, because one of them is floating barriers across the Rio Grande River, which, okay, that's fucking got to be unsightly.
Is the state of Texas, as the Supreme Court has found, the state of Texas violating international law?
razor wire fencing, guys. Like, this is not something that is designed to just deter or to even entangle. It's designed to fucking cut and even kill. It's designed to mangle migrants.
Yeah.
At the very least, fucking injure them severely. And that is fucking ghoulish. It is disgusting, and that is why I have literally no guilt about making the reference about him losing a fight with a tree.
Very fair.
Chill check in chat. Who's not chill?
Just making sure people are chill.
Okay. So Crawling Chaos, look, man, I get it. It's I see you deleted that comment too, but yeah, we need to engage with what the facts are as we know them. We can have our pet little hopes and wishes for things, but that ain't life.
Right. It'd be nice if someone's plane crashed on the way somewhere and they were never a problem again. But, c'est la vie, that's life. Wishful thinking gets you so far. So on this topic, to bring us back on topic, I have an interesting article that I found in researching this that gives us a take of a human cost we don't think about when we talk about this, right? Because I think rightly so, we look at this as, the state of Texas is using their National Guard to hurt and kill migrants, right? But there's a whole group of this that are actually in really fucking bad shape, and that is the Texas National Guard and soon to be other state National Guards.
Yeah.
So let me do the thing. Window, let's grab this one. I think it's this one.
Crawling Chaos, I have something I'd like to respond to your comments of you're expressing these things here that I agree. I think a lot of people are, but I don't want to do that right now. So if you're going to remind me later on.
I'm just going to hit the hammer while you're
too late.
Oh, you got him. Bam.
See, that's the desperation. That's the what it's cope, part desperation, part the fact that who knows how long they're sitting there and hearing what we're talking about. But
and they waited till right before we're going to talk about how this is affecting the troops to chime in, right?
And then right after we talk about how this is literally razor wire that's meant to fucking fuck human beings' bodies up and kill them, and oh, well, now's a good time to jump in and say, good job, Texas. No, you're a fucking piece of shit, man. And these are the people that we cannot. This is why it's such a bigger thing than just Biden. And,
right.
It's that, we're not just, it's not a presidential battle. It's not even an election thing. In my opinion, this is the closest thing that I don't talk like this. I don't believe in these types of concepts, really. But, I guess if I'm being colloquial, I can say this is a spiritual fucking battle that we are having. And that the literal, not the literal, the figurative, metaphorical spirit of our society is kind of at
right.
At a tipping point.
Future of our society, the direction our society will go, is at stake based on the next couple of years. And that's kind of always going to be true in some ways, but
true.
It is. We're certainly at a flashpoint this year.
It hasn't in our lifetimes. It's never been quite this much.
Right. So if you can pull up this article.
Yeah.
I've got that there. All right. So this is from the Army Times, not exactly a liberal rag.
Oh, so this is just some woke shit.
No, this is Manti. This is the military. This is written by
you mean the woke military that lets transgender people be in there and stuff?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
This is from 2 years ago. Because this has been going on for 4 years, right? It's in the news now, but this is a long-term operation. And there's been suicides at the border as troops are just stationed there, and the conditions are fucking horrible.
Jesus Christ. I didn't know about this.
Right, yeah, we don't talk about this, right? This is, you talk about supporting the troops. They've got them living in motorhomes. They've got them, on active duty where they're just kind of standing around waiting. There's no command and control. And there's been a few suicide attempts as of a few years ago. Someone shot himself in the head on New Year's Eve down there. Because you've got thousands of soldiers deployed away from their homes, taken away from their families for a stunt. For a goddamn stunt.
Yeah, these are not, we talk about the dehumanizing the migrants that the GOP does. These people aren't people to the GOP. These are, people who have signed up and volunteered their lives and their service to, admittedly, it's kind of a naive move to make. But I would never fucking fault a person for doing that in the moment, because they feel like that's what they have to do. But yeah, that doesn't matter. They're not getting, and you got to think too about whenever we went into Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11, there was almost a full generation basically of wasn't really a generation of soldiers since Vietnam, right?
Right.
Not in any real capacity that where everybody would know a soldier or something like that. There wasn't anything like that for a lot of years. Now though, since Iraq and Afghanistan, there has been just a constant stream of people in the military. So everybody knows somebody that has been to war, or at least in stationed somewhere in wartime or something, and either been some of them injured, many of them injured, some killed, and then some people just had PTSD, and all of them have a hard fucking time getting basic services to have those those needs met, because they've just been chewed up and spit out by the fucking war machine. And so these people are probably in some level, whether consciously or not, sitting there on the border man, this sucks, it's fucking terrible, and I don't even have anything to look forward to.
Right. Well, here it gets worse than that. Well, I'm going to highlight it for folks so they can read along. So systemic, got rid of it. Good work, Morg. Systemic pay issues have impacted them getting paid.
What?
Because there's temporary employees, it impacts their benefits. Because they're not on federal deployment, they're on long-term state active duty. They don't get federal education benefits, no GI Bill, no veteran affairs coverage, no VA hospitals, nothing towards their retirement. And shortly after beginning this, the Texas Military Department slashed state tuition assistance for its troops by over 50%.
Holy shit, dude. That's the one single most respectable, understandable reason why one would make the choice to be in the military these days, is that okay, they're gonna fucking cover essentially almost all of your school,
right? And
damn.
you look at federally speaking, Republicans have voted down several bills the last, decade at this point, to do things like improve veteran affairs funding, improve VA hospitals. It was a big deal when the Biden administration managed to get through Congress a veteran suicide hotline after 20 years of war. So when we talk about the victims of this, it's not just the migrants.
No.
It's our own goddamn troops. And this situation is going to get worse with states saying they're going to send troops to the Texas border too, because there's no infrastructure. You don't have, on a good day, you don't have power down there. You have issues with water on the border, toilets, your supply chain. Now magnify that by a dozen or 24 states with, mismanaged National Guards who are used to just having the federal government handle it for them.
And
they're,
about the
they're
time
literally going to get our troops killed.
If this does happen, if it continues on the path it's on, it's probably all going to pop off in the summer.
It's going to, right.
Which means just fucking, I can't even, like, God damn it, dude. This is, and the shittiest thing, even shittier than all that, is even if we kind of like get through this little standoff with minimal, casualties, this is a problem that's not going to stop.
No.
And I mean, problem is in climate change
is going to increase the immigration from everywhere to the United States.
What we're seeing now is nothing compared to what it will probably look like. Like, we have to start addressing this now and finding, structural, fucking manageable ways to deal with this, instead of just like, we gotta fucking kick them out and whatever. Like, it's nonsense. It's insanity. Actually, it's actually fucking insane.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is. It's criminal negligence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you talk about the cost of this and who this benefits. It's people like Greg Abbott. It's people like Ron DeSantis. It's people like Trump. It's Republicans and their donors.
The only people that benefit from this.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fucking the scale of the sprawl of that, and once again, I'm going to use another word that I don't like using these kind of words generally, but like just for shorthand, the sprawl of that evil.
Mm-hmm.
That these handful of people essentially that are already in positions of power, they're already wealthy, but that's not enough, because now they have to do these various grifts and use these various human beings, not just the brown ones, but the white ones who fucking bought into the bullshit. Unfortunately,
mm-hmm.
They're going to use them to enrich themselves and make themselves more powerful, and that is short of like actually just being a fucking a Nazi at a fucking death camp. It's going up there on the list of evil shit. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and you talk about no cold weather gear, body armor, first aid kits, portable toilets. They've got them living out of RVs and semi-truck trailers. And that's our own people. We're torturing our people and people who want to come here and be our people. Genuinely horrendous. And if I were you, and I'm not, but I'm going to make a plea to each and every one of you who listens to this. I want you to do 4 things for me. I want you to make 4 phone calls. I want you to go and look up who your state representative is, your state senator, your congressperson for the U.S. House of Representatives, and your U.S. senator, and call them and say, this has to fucking stop. Because that's one of the things that actually like gets things moving, is that if they know their constituents are paying attention, and if you tell your friends to do that and they call, that's how you can get things moving on a personal level. That's the most effective thing you can do.
If I may have a moment, and I support that. I actually think I want to make a graphic that we can bring up on a regular basis for that kind of thing. So
I have some issues with ResistBot, but that's a conversation for another day, Sketchy.
All right, The Flame, welcome to the chat. I've never seen you before. This is a powerful entry, and I'm not sure where you're coming from. I'm not going to assume anything, but I will say this. Hatred means nothing if you're just applying it equally to quote-unquote both sides.
Right.
The word loses its meaning if you think that what is being expressed from progressives, even liberals or leftists or whatever, is the same in terms of just like baseless hatred. Like that word has lost meaning the way you're using it.
I don't hate conservatives. I hate what they do.
You know, I mean, that's once again, we said this a few minutes ago. We have no reason to think that. Like, I mean, it definitely feels like that could happen, but that's all it is a feeling. It could, if it does, then look, we're talking about the thing that might be on the timeline to getting us there.
Hey, is our do you know, I'm gonna go on the YouTube. Is our October first week of October episode still up on one of the channels?
Which one was that?
The End of the World.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think so. So right, yeah, that's a good point because look, does it feel like it's the end of the world? Well, when was it not? That's a lyric
There
from
is
a song.
always this like desire that we're gonna have the end of the world, and sadly I don't see it on here. But
It is a lyric from a song. It's probably in the playlist of the on my channel, on my on the
okay,
AF channel.
check over there. Where is
So
the
the thing is, though, that hate comes first. This is what you got to understand, Flame, and I'm being as good faith with you as I possibly can. So please, don't make me regret this. Hate generated the origin of the hate in this situation, right? If you want to equate these two things at all, then one thing begat another, and the thing is that hatred for minorities, for LGBTQ people, misinformation based on that hate spread around for people of color, minorities of all kinds, women. It's been propagated by dark money, which has come from the right, which has come from libertarians, billionaires. That's the progenitor to this hostility. Like, this hostility didn't just come equally from both sides and meet in the middle. Okay, the hostility, the hatred, the fucking dehumanization began on the right, and it always has. It always has. And to not understand that is to misunderstand, I don't know, politics, sociology. The reactionary thought is the fucking beginning of all of it. And yes, there's definitely a lot, there's hatred. I fucking feel the closest thing I possibly can to hate. I don't like to fucking, really entertain that as an emotion, really. But as close as I possibly can get, I feel it towards some people. Like right now, today, we're talking about some people that I feel some shit that borders on hate. But that is not because of who they are as a person. It's not because of how they were born, who they love, because of, or anything like that. It's because the choices they are making to dehumanize people that they don't fucking know. And my fucking anger, my fucking rage for those people comes from a defensive fucking posture against that offense of hatred. And if you don't understand this, man, then like, I don't know, fuck off. So,
all right. Well, I think we have covered this. I think we've said what we had to say on the Texas issue for now.
Yeah, sure.
I think we've covered it quite succinctly and shown the totality of how fucked it up it is.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, Bob. Is that the part of the problem with fascism, which is what we're dealing here with the Flame,
right,
is that fascism preys on the goodwill of regular human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if fascists go, oh, you're not you got to compromise with us because you hear us out, and we go, okay, look, we think you're kind of crazy, so you're saying some crazy shit, but let's hear you out. But then, like, okay, now we got our hooks in
the door.
Yeah, and that's a foot in the door tactic that's just been tried and true for fascism. So, like, yeah, man, it's not an equal size thing.
No.
And it's one thing to you're right about the whole 1% and capitalism's a bitch and fuck it, all that. That's all true, but just expressing that sentiment doesn't help us navigate what's actually happening right now.
Right. I think saying it's all theater to make us easy to govern is wrong, because it's not all theater. Because I have family who's been involved in actual theater productions, and when someone dies in a play, they're not dead in real life. No one gets hurt in theater. This is an act of violence perpetuated on a global scale.
Yep.
All right.
So I got a little worked up there.
Yeah, me too. So let's talk some good stuff. I got a good thing.
All right, let me just shake it out real quick.
All right, I'm gonna stop this because I had hoped to have time to cut stuff to share, but I did not have time to do it to my satisfaction. So we're just gonna have to do this the old talkie fashion.
You know what we need? You know what we need?
What's that?
It's a palate cleanser. Just like, oh god, I need him to shine upon me.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
Taking that, Bill. Oh, what a man! What a lovely man!
All right. So what you got? Secrets.
All right. So before we do that, if not in a red state, like peeps, call, letter. Yes, you should. If you're in a red state, if you're in a blue state, call them and let them know.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you just gotta let them know.
All right. So
if you're in a state that is just fucking blood red, which is actually poetically accurate. If you're in a blood red state and it doesn't matter if you call and say something, you should do it anyway in solidarity for everyone else.
Right. Because you never know. You don't know how many other people are calling.
True.
But if you call and you tell people you know to call, that at least means someone has to look at it. Someone has to pass that on. And if enough people do it, well, then they're going to have to think, because politicians like their job. It's kind of cushy. And so if you can help be a big enough thorn in their side that they have to go against their donors, that they're paymasters for a minute, that ain't so bad. And all it takes is a phone call, right? It's a few minutes. All right, good stuff. I have discovered the last few months a technique.
Yes.
So when you are
That's a long ass link I put in chat, by the way, to find your local rep. And actually, Morgan and I will work on, before the next episode, a list of links that we will start including in every stream and video. So for things such as this. Sorry.
All right. So whenever, especially online, but also in person sometimes, you have this culture war influencer in our conversations, right? Like even talking Star Wars, like in the game store before Pathfinder or whatever, it comes up. But I really hit on a way to like divide the culture warrior from the fan who has been poisoned by the culture war, who believes that the culture war concerns are genuine. They might believe that, like, wokeness, whatever that means this week, is ruining whatever property it's ruining this week. They might genuinely believe that, but they're still genuinely a fan, and they're a fan first. They're not a culture warrior.
So I mean, I don't want to interrupt you, but the only reason I am is because, and I wish we would have coordinated this, but it doesn't matter because it's kind of serendipitous anyway. I actually have screenshots of some comments that I got under my recent Geeks and Gamers video.
Oh, sure.
That I think is just exactly this. So like, okay, so recent Geeks and Gamers video I did talked about the the moderator of their Reddit community that was accused of soliciting a minor, and I use that as a jumping off point to kind of talk about the culture of Geeks and Gamers and their community, and how Griggs has handled things before whenever it's come up and whatnot. And some people were really pissed off about it. Some people think that they should sue me, that somehow I've done something that's worthy of being sued. I don't understand what that would be. But this person, so there are too many truths here, and I hate to call them out, but sorry, just there are too many truths here. I'm kind of surprised just how bad this group of anti-SJWs have become, and there is proof out there. I have decided to subscribe. This is actually the second one. Wait, no, okay. So actually, Geeks and Gamers, you do go on and whine about Star Wars, and so I think this person was actually having a moment of realization in the comment section.
Wow.
Because then, down here, to be fair, and I mean a few, even then, just sometimes of them now start admitting there have been strong women characters and good role models in movies in the past. Remember, wokeism is real and it's bad. So that's where you get the split of like, oh wait,
right.
What? and I think this is exactly the kind of person you're kind of talking about, right?
Yeah.
But I have seen some of these movies, and they are not as bad as people say, and some of them lie about the actual content of these films. So, like, this is someone who's a reasonable person who does watch the films, because we've seen people I've talked to people that don't actually even watch them, and they just listen to YouTubers. That's a mistake. But yeah, it's at the same time, you can tell that he's been inundated, like we all have, like a lot, with the algorithmic effect of woke bad. And I think he's kind of struggling with that. And I invited him to even come on, and I'd like to talk to him about it and maybe get him to understand a couple things about that. Nonetheless, this is the kind of person I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah, sort of. Seems like it.
Okay.
So that sort of person who believes culture war talking points, but is in a fandom community and they are a fan. A way to sort them out from someone who just is a culture warrior and is in a fandom space to be a culture warrior, even if they might like that thing, that's not what they're there to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
A way to divide those two really easily is to talk shop.
Yes.
And just, comics, tabletop role-playing games, 40K for me, a great way to do it. Someone, most recently, the what sort of hit me on putting this in the show was there was a discussion where some clown was accusing some young trans woman of getting into BattleTech to infiltrate. And BattleTech is a minis game. It's a really good one, actually. I quite like it. But I was asking some questions, and I got one of the people who was taking the position that this person might be infiltrating to just start talking about what they liked.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting them okay, so here's a story from, when I started playing 40K about people just being weird in the fandom. Because when I first started playing 40K, the faction I picked was new, and people were weird about it. And people called it, you're playing the communists. They're not communists. They're aliens. It's 40K. 40K is very weird. But someone kicked over my box because they lost in combat and they had a temper tantrum. Just telling that story and talking about how 40K was 20 years ago. This guy and I talked back and forth for about half a day. And that's all he did for half a day was just talk fucking nerd shit instead of harassing this person. And it took this one time I had a weird experience with some weirdo at a tournament. And that's all it takes for some people to just for their brain to reset and to talk about what they care about, which is, having fun and sharing hobby stories. And the same thing has been true of, talking about it with, at Pathfinder, talking about Star Wars stuff before, where I know people who, do not like the sequels, and some of them who do not like them for YouTuber reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get them talking about the old Dark Forces games, that Doom clone, and the ones that came after it that were a little more updated, or Knights of the Old Republic, or even Rogue One, and they will just geek the fuck out. And it seems to not only is it does it stop this weird culture war shit, it lifts a pressure off of them. When it happens in person, they genuinely look and feel happier afterwards.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And the flip side is, if they are here for the culture war, they're not going to let that happen. They are going to stay on message. So, to bring it back to 40K, because this is sort of the nexus around which my analysis is built. My army, Tau. I'm going to pull up a picture. Please hold. Your call is important to us.
Well, okay. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and address this one thing, just because
Sure.
I want to go ahead and nip it in the bud.
Nippy, give it a nippy.
So, Flame, This is not the kind of sentiment that you will find a safe harbor for on this channel, because I believe that there are pathways to finding truth via facts. There are ways that you can cite sources and check sources and find information that supports or disconfirms, claims or information that you've come across or whatever. So like this whole throw your hands up and like, I don't believe in anything because some people lie and stuff like that is kind of an enemy of mine. And I actually, this channel and this show in particular, it's one of the things that we are we work actively against, that type of disengaged engagement. You know what I mean? Because I'm certain that you want to have more opinions. You want to express your opinions in chat. Well, why should we listen to your opinions if you don't believe in anything? You don't believe in anything that you except what you see. Well, okay, I don't know what that is. If there's no point in engaging with you, and therefore I don't want you in my chat spouting misinformation. If you're willing to be here and engage with the things that are said, and not just like anytime an uncomfortable or challenging thing is said to you, or that you, I don't, throw your hands up and that's kind of shit, you're welcome to be here. But misinformation, just being like apathetic toward real issues that affect real human beings, that's not something that I stand for in my chat. Pravda is, that's taking a position about a specific thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, in someone talking about how real fans don't want to change things, this is code for we don't want people who think differently than us playing this game.
Right.
I'm like, well, hold on, wait a second. We can get my screen share up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So this is the Kroot art from when I started in 2003. These are part of the Tau army. They're these cool, like, predator-looking guys.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't had new kits since, like, 2003. So this is old-ass models, old-ass art. And I'm like, I want a new Kroot. I wanted them to change Kroot and add more in for literally 20 years. I want to change the game, and they're doing that. They're making all these cool new Kroot. I fucking love this guy.
Was it because they're woke then, right?
Well, clearly because I am they changed it clearly. Like, this is a new type of Kroot character that I really want to paint, and it looks so cool.
It is kind of cool.
But like this culture warrior guy, like, some people were like, oh yeah, I'm really hyped about the new Kroot, and sort of some people took the conversation that way, but this one guy just wanted to like make his special case why that wasn't what he was talking about.
Oh.
And just kept trying to bring the conversation back to infiltrators. And because I was having these two conversations at the same time, they were like, well, wait a minute. There's things we all want changed about 40K, whether you want new rules or new units, or that they wrote a shitty book you didn't really like.
Brilliant.
Or they wrote a book you like and you want more of that. Like, there's all things we want. So to say,
I hope you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to express appreciation. I was making sure that the people watching are appreciating what it is that you have just gifted to them. Like, this is almost the perfect way to deal with it. Like, I mean, I think it probably is, just because. Yeah, it really is. Did you think about this ahead of time, or just kind of like it happened and then you're like, wait a second, and then you kind of like reverse engineered what you had done?
I hit on it as it was happening.
Okay.
That as I was having these parallel conversations, where like the breaking point was like this culture warrior said, well, we don't want 40K fans who want to change things. They're not real fans. It's like, well, wait a minute. And then the conversation breaks. People are talking about, whether it's, these new Kroot models, or because there was a big convention called the Las Vegas Open that this was previewed at. There's other stuff previewed, and so people started talking about that. But this guy really, really wanted to bring it back to, no, this is what I want to talk about. but he doesn't want to come out and say what he's talking about is excluding, in this case, trans people. But he couldn't come out and say that because he has to have some veneer of cover.
Because he needs to be able to infiltrate. Speaking of infiltrate, he needs to be able to kind of like poison the well, without being obvious about poisoning the well. Like he needs to be able to get people on his side. That yeah, we don't want this kind of thing, but not because of the people. It just so happens that the people are the ones that are doing this thing, right? Like it's
exactly.
like literally trying to let me think of I don't know, trying to walk a dog backwards or something like that. Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's putting the cart before the horse, right? It's like I want this to move. But yeah, so I really hit on this is like, if when these conversations come up, especially if it's interpersonal, you can just talk about what you like and why you like it, what's got you excited in fandom. You know, you build community and you encourage community, and these people out themselves. They can't help it because they're not there to talk about Groot or X-Men or Star Wars. They're there to talk about
they're talking the culture war,
right?
And
they're
so, like,
culture warriors.
This kind of makes me think of it's a more sophisticated and just a better general version of, like, you know, like there's been a couple of times whenever someone's talking about Miles Morales, and it's like, oh, okay, so like you don't like Barry Allen too, then I assume, you know, like you know, it's like not the exact, because yours is definitely more sophisticated because you're actually engaging with the lore and trying to keep the conversation on that lore. But like, whereas this is what I'm talking about is more like, you know what they're saying, and you're trying to get them to out themselves with what they really are you know, against. But you know, of course, at that point they would try to dig into some, you know, bullshit nuances between Miles and Barry Allen, as if they've read all the Barry Allen comics or all the Miles comics or whatever, and they can say that one of them is done right and one of them is not, or whatever. Yeah, it's
so. I guess if I were gonna engage with one of those people who obsess over Miles Morales, I would start talking about like, I think that the easiest one to talk about is probably the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah.
Just because they're hugely successful and very, very good. But even like, you know, oh, Miles Morales is whatever. You know, he's not Spider-Man. Oh no, he's Ultimate Spider-Man, right? Like that's that was the book he showed up in. He was the Ultimate Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, and like,
right.
You know, it was cool how like he had to like work himself into that universe, and a lot of people didn't like him at first, and you can get into that story. And just like you could even use it as a launching point to talk about all the other people who have like been Spider-Men, right? Like we can talk about Ben Reilly. Like, oh, you want to talk about Spider-Man that kind of had a messy intro? Let's
controversial
talk Ben Reilly.
Spider-Man. Yeah, you know what? You know, actually, just dawned on me. I did have a conversation like this in context of comics. So whenever I had that, it wasn't really a debate, but like, so me and Perp, a long time ago now, did a couple of streams where we were inviting people to come on and debate us about these things, woke issues or whatever. And the first one, nobody showed up. The second one, 2 people did. One of them was a guy that wanted to, say that Black Ariel is a bad thing because little white racist kids are not going to like it, which is a really bad argument. But the other one wasn't even someone that wanted to debate on that issue. He just was a guy that actually is like a fan of the channel, but he just didn't like Lady Thor, you know. He didn't like it. He thought it was just done really bad, you know. And I was like, okay, and I engaged with him literally, you know. He wasn't, I don't think he was coming at it from a culture war perspective at all, as much as like he'd probably been informed by seeing those takes, and even though he didn't see himself, and this I imagine kind of common, he didn't see himself as being someone that's against wokeness or even against a female version. It's like, but because he'd heard these bullshit claims about the quality of the comic over and over again, he internalized that.
Right.
And so he was like, I just don't think it was done. And I was like, oh, okay, what didn't you like about it? And immediately he's like, well, I didn't read it, but I've read about it, you know, blah, blah, blah. I've looked up what happens and stuff. And I was like, well, hold on, man. Hold on. You can't possibly think that reading the Wikipedia entry essentially is the same thing as
reading the book, right?
Like, you can't tell me that you didn't like the way it was done when you didn't even experience the way that it was done. It's just so in that way, I don't know. I'm trying to find a correlation here, and I'm
no, I think you are, and I think that working with you has like trained me for this moment in a lot of ways, right? Like we have built towards this. I didn't come onto this revelation in a vacuum, right? It is the culmination of years of interaction and years of talking on this channel and looking at moral panics and looking at how they develop.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it really is this way where like we can be fandom first and cut the bullshit, and the people who aren't there to talk about that self-exclude because they keep wanting to talk about. I'm getting really excited. I'm sorry.
No, it's great, because I just started imagining what it would be like if of course, he'd never be found in this situation where he could be vulnerable to this. But like, imagine Eric July in a social setting instead of just on YouTube making content, right? Where he tries to do some kind of like culture war shit, and then someone responds that way,
right? Like, what would he do?
He'd have to leave, I think.
He'd have to leave, right? Like, or he'd have to embrace the fandom, right? He would have to talk shop.
Yep.
And you know what? That might be good for him, right? Because engaging with fandom, engaging with what you love and enjoy and what your passions are is good for you. It's healthy.
Even if you're doing it in a critical way, which
right.
is, the one of the most common, bullshit claims that get levied at me is just like, oh, you're a shill, you want to praise everything, whatever. It's like, nope, not it, man. Like, I would love to have nuanced conversations about things that I don't like about certain comics or movies or whatever. However, I feel that's a luxury that I can't afford most times, in most, company.
Well, and what I think we did is, refresh me looking for the end of the world video we did back in October. I saw our video on Rise of Skywalker where we talked about something we don't like.
True.
And I think we were pretty fair to it, and we criticized it and engaged our fandom at the same time. And I think you can do that and share that, and it's good and healthy.
I actually did that in a video I have uploaded. I just haven't decided if you're a Patreon supporter. This is actually one that is for paying patrons only. I rarely ever even do that, honestly. Like most stuff, as long as you're following me on there, you're going to get to see videos that I won't upload on the channel or whatever. But like, there's one about where I was disagreeing with Jesse Gender's take on For All Mankind recently.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it's refreshing to be able to have that kind of conversation. And there's still a part of me that's like, I don't want her to hear about it and then like take it the wrong way or something, because I definitely am not looking to start any kind of feud or piss anybody off or anything like that. I just right. Normally I don't aim that direction with my criticism on this channel, but anyway.
Yeah, but I think that we've hit on a technique to when the culture war comes into our fandoms, how we can help the fandom, and that is by talking about what we love, because it turns out fucking geeks love to fucking talk about their bullshit.
It's true.
They fucking love it. So get them going.
Indeed.
It's good for them. It's good for you. And if they're there in bad faith, they can find something else to do, because they won't want to engage past a certain point.
Facts. Cold, hard.
They won't.
Facts. Actually trying to find that video now so that I can show a little bit of that whenever we're getting out of here.
Yeah, I think we're about done. I've said my piece.
Cool.
I'm just gonna leave this picture of Recruit up here because I just fucking love it. It's so fucking cool. It's like everything that like 14-year-old me wanted in a Recruit. I'm just like, give it to me.
Shit, I don't know what I did with that thing, so maybe we won't look at that, but that's okay.
The Flame, you are 100% right. DS9 is the best Trek. I am right there with you, brother.
It's true.
Presuming you're a brother. Sibling. I shouldn't presume. I specifically should know better.
You of all people.
Me of all people, yes.
Should know. I guess I don't know where that thing is. So let me look for something else real quick. And if you want to just give any messages, talk about anything before we get out of here.
Yeah, so DS9 is awesome. I'm looking for, what comes out in April is the last season of Discovery. And I'm
hyped.
I'm hyped. Every season of Discovery is twice as good as the last one. Like the first season is good, but it's got some issues.
Yeah.
The second season.
Look, I used to say that the first season was good, like pretty good. Now, based on subsequent seasons, I downgraded season 1 in my mind. Like
that's fair.
Just
like I know. So my dad got really into Strange New Worlds. My dad fucking loves Strange New Worlds.
Season 1 was excellent. Season 2, I need to watch it again. I feel like I didn't give it a good enough
The
shot.
last couple episodes lost me. I was like, this isn't working for me right now.
Mm.
I have to go back and rewatch it once I'm gonna do that. Like I'm gonna resub to Paramount Plus like a little before.
Nice.
So I try and keep one streaming service at a time. So
smart.
But I want to go back and rewatch the last half of Discovery season 2 and catch up on Transformers Earthspark, which I really like the first season of. But yeah, like I told him, like, oh, if you want more Pike, you could watch season 2 of Discovery. Do I have to watch season 1? I don't think you do.
No, not really.
I think you can kind of skip it.
They do kind of give you the
Cliff Notes.
Yeah, I mean, like, you get it. Burnham made some mistakes. She's the half sister or adopted sister of Spock.
Right. Like I think the only thing it doesn't really explain is Georgiou.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the one thing that it doesn't really like. Who the fuck is this lady?
True.
That's really the only thing, but also like I don't know that matters a whole ton. Like unfortunately I can't like wipe my memory and watch that season fresh, so
well, I'm totally failing on finding anything that I was looking for now. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing other than kind of spinning my wheels, but
yeah, Discovery's great. So yeah.
Discovery. So the last season of Discovery was honestly like there are seasons of Star Trek and episodes that are like you will almost all assured for certainly be like my favorite episodes ever. So like and that's maybe tied into nostalgia. Like Cause and Effect of The Next Generation is one that just stands out in my memory. Is like I love that fucking episode every time I see it.
It's a really good one, yeah.
And partly because it introduced me to science fiction concept that I still have a fascination with, and that's the causality loop kind of thing. The Terminator John Connor parentage thing is another one that I've always just been like, it's so interesting to think about.
I think Yesterday's Enterprise and if we're talking to Next Generation, it's one of my favorite Next Generation episodes.
Yep. So it's but at the same time, as far as the story, the overall story, just the through line, and then the themes and the acting and just like the pacing of it and everything. Season 4 of Discovery is
so good.
My favorite season of Star Trek.
It's so fucking good. It's that. If I had to pick a favorite season of Star Trek, like that's a contender for sure. I think DS9 season 6. That's a really good one.
Didn't have any kind of filler kind of feeling episodes or any slouches in there.
I'd have to go the problem is it's a different sort of show because like they were making for syndication, so it's those long 22 episode seasons, but like there's a lot of killers in there.
Well, and that's definitely what, like, the advantage that Discovery season 4 has over anything is the format of it. Like, these are tight episodes, a tight season. The story is just like, but the most brilliant thing about that season of Star Trek, I think, and this is just, it's Star Trek through and through. And this blows my mind. The people that want to act, because there are anti-fans of Star Trek that are like, oh, it's woke and bad now. It's not anything like Star Trek's supposed to be. So you're telling me that a season that had that much fucking action and suspense and tension, and yet no real villain, is not Star Trek? Because, like, there's a few episodes there where it's Burnham and Book against each other, and yet they are still in love. They are being respectful to each other. They are like, they understand exactly why the other's doing what they're doing, and yet they are fucking directly at odds. And it's just, I've never seen anything like that in a show. It's amazing.
It's one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. It's amazing.
Indeed. Man, yeah, now you got me all excited for that. When's that coming out again?
I think April.
Oh, that's too far.
It's too far. I agree. But you know what that means? I have time to catch up with shows I haven't caught up with yet. So,
well, that's also when what you call it? The Roxxon Age of Marvel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is the Age of Roxxon. Yeah,
gonna happen. So we've got that to look forward to as well. You know what? Because I'm kind of just failing here. Unless, have I showed the American History X clip on here before?
Know. Maybe.
Probably have, but
they don't hold a grudge, but they did hold a grudge. Haha, she's a queen.
Haha, because she's a cat. She's a queen. Yeah, exactly.
She's a queen.
They did hold a grudge, but barely, because she's a big queen.
She's a large girl.
I don't think anybody realizes. I need to get some good photos or video, but like, Gordy has grown a lot.
Really?
In the last few months, he's a much bigger cat than I expected him to be.
We'll have to do a forced Gordversity.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, so what we got here is failure to communicate. No, so this is a clip. What you're gonna see on the way out the door. It's about 2 minutes long. It's got a little movie perp in it, I believe. Yeah. So this is from whenever we did a stream trying to determine the meaning of the word woke, because we had found such inconsistency from person to person and example to example. Like, wait a second, if that's woke, then isn't this woke? Well, that's different. And it's like, it just becomes such a amorphous thing that we're really just trying to nail down exactly what it meant, right? And those videos are up. That video's up. There's actually a 3-part video where we started off asking the question, where did this very common thing you see nowadays of it's bad writing. You see that a lot.
So boring.
Just, it's bad writing. It's like the most simplistic thing, and it always seems to be levied at, it's kind of interesting and curious that it's always aimed at the same stuff that people call woke, which is weird. But we wanted to know, and we started exploring that, and then we ended up taking it to that took us to Mahler. I'll be honest. We did some looking into Mahler, some of his takes. We talked about The Last Jedi. We talked about the idea of objectively reviewing a film, which is not a valid notion. And then the third part is the one where we got into, let's just find what woke means, right? And we went to Mahler's subreddit, and we used, answers from someone that had asked essentially the same question in there. It just looked at different answers and replies in the conversation to see, like, well, how are they describing it? I really suggest you watch that if you're someone who thinks that the idea of woke is something that you can utilize to analyze media or whatever. I just suggest watching those three videos. But this is from that, and it was a kind of a cool moment that actually McLeod, if you're still here, you started this moment off by mentioning, in response to one of the comments that we were looking at, saying that, well, they choose these actors or whatever because of, their skin color instead of being the best actor for the job. And McLeod pointed out something that I'd never thought of. But like, holy shit, what a good observation. And that's where we're at. We'll see you guys. I believe the initiative will be doing a showcast on the old Wednesday. Not sure who all is going to be there. We'll see. Might be another light week as far as hosts go. Not sure, but maybe we'll all be there. Who fucking knows? It's a fucking mystery, man. Thank you all for being here and sitting through this. You know, Roxxon is the best comic book publisher.
Roxxon is the best comic book.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll be back Sunday, I believe.
Yep.
And we'll try to get a better themed, interweaved conversation going like we did last time.
Well, I think we had a nice
sandwich. It was a good sandwich.
Yeah, nice little sandwich.
It's you know, not always possible, but sometimes you just got to shake it off and start over again, you know?
Right.
All right, hit like and subscribe if you have not, please. And you know, be kind to yourselves, be kind to your loved ones, and be kind to strangers, and take care of yourselves and your pets and your fish and everything, and have a good one. Bye. McLeod, that's actually really, really good point. Casting someone for their race instead of how good they are. It's the exact same rhetoric that bigots would say about affirmative action. The idea was equity, that like instead of just hiring white men by default or whatever, companies were incentivized and encouraged to hire more diverse employees, you know. But like the rhetoric around that became like, have you ever seen American History X?
Yeah. I think it's like this book about this black guy, you know. We're doing this whole black literature, you know. What is it, Black History Month? Nothing. It's just, you know, it's everywhere I look now.
Their dad, the dude's dad who dies, and you see the flashbacks of him ranting about this.
This affirmative blaction. All this stuff about making everything equal, it's not that simple. You know, what happened to the other books in the course? They're not any good anymore because Mr. 2 PhD says they aren't? Huh? I mean, you gotta trade in great books for black books? Does that make sense? Huh? You gotta question these things, Dare. You gotta look at the whole picture. You know, we're talking about books here, but I'm also talking about my job.
And he's a firefighter, and like
I got 2 black guys on my squad now who got their job over a couple of white guys. Yeah, sure, everything's equal now, but I got 2 guys who only got the job because they were black, not because they were the best. Is that what America's about? No, America's about best man for the job. You do your best, you get the job. You know, this affirmative action crap. Hidden agenda or something going on.
Hidden agenda or something going on. Hidden agenda.
The message.
Had her as a great character. We had that thing, and this film you're clapping at like a fucking retard ruined that.
All this stuff.
Do you like it when something just completely takes you out of the story? When you're so engrossed in this tale?
I can give you an example of an instance that is basically this. Dune, recent Dune film.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Agreed.
There's one moment where I was completely taken out. And like I had to kind of pause and go, you know, kind of deal with my thoughts. And this is, you know, a good example, I think, because it doesn't have anything to do with the, you know, the social politics stuff that typically is being referenced here. But it still applies. So
not right now.
The scene with the Bene Gesserit old lady shows up with the box.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he puts his hand in there, and you know, he says,
"What's in the box?"
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
What's in the box? Oh no!
I immediately was thinking about Seven. I was immediately thinking about the movie Seven, and I started laughing, and I'm like, fuck. Because other than that movie, I was completely immersed in it, like completely. There's very few films that I've had such an immersive experience with Dune.
Yeah.
And then I was removed from it. The only time in the whole movie was that. But the reason is because my experience of having seen Seven a bunch of times, of me and my friends used to go, "What's in the box?" You know, like we had repeated that. And that was my experience, you know, subjectively. Now, if I'd never seen Seven, or if I saw it and didn't really remember that part or whatever, I would not have been taken out of the movie in that way. So my being, you know, taken out of the immersion was completely rooted in my very specific experience of not even just seeing the movie, but me and my friends making that, you know, quoting that line. Certain things stick out in different people's minds, and that's going to cause certain people to, you know, take notice of something more than others or less than others or whatever.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
It's kind of like the journey that we choose as fans. You know, everything's just not always going to be great. And when it's great, you got to celebrate the hell out of it. But when it's not, you just move on to some other shit. It's like the easy